Here you see my instrument panel on the airplane. The airplane type is a Jabiru UL-450, and it's a light sports airplane with 2 seats. And then now we are going to show you a little bit about the instruments and what they do. So we start from left to right. Here we have a slip indicator. What this tells you is that if you are turning, that you are coordinated or not. So if this ball goes to the left or right, it tells you that you are slipping to the left or right, and you need to correct with your rudder pedals to make the plane go in a straight line. Here you have the airspeed indicator. It's indicated in knots, and here this yellow band, that means you can safely operate there, but without any abrupt movements and only when the air is calm. You have to be careful when it's turbulence and things like that, because then it can make some structural damage on the airplane if you fly in this area. Up here you have a small red sign, and this is never exceed this speed, so you should never fly faster than this red mark. Green, it's a normal operating speed. The white is where you can start putting your flaps on, and this is the safe flap speed. And down here, when it disappears, you have a stall speed with full flaps configuration. So the plane is stalling around 35 knots. But ideally, when you come into land, I usually have about 16 knots with 2 flaps. And then when touchdown, I have around 50 knots. This is the altimeter. This is a barometric pressure. And I don't know if you can see here, but in this small window you can adjust the pressure setting according to the current pressure outside in the atmosphere, and you set this before taking off. It's very important, so it shows you the right altitude. Here is the vertical speed indicator, and this needle here, if it's the airplane is going up, this goes up. If the airplane is going down, this goes down. And this is feet per minute, you know. So it's if it says 5 here, that means 500 feet per minute. 10, it's 1000 feet per minute, etc. So here you can see how fast the airplane is climbing or descending. Here is the fuel gauge. This is a digital one, so you have to have electricity on to see here, but here you will have the amount of fuel in liters. Under here you have magnetos 1 and 2. These 2 needs to stay on to make a spark to the engine, so when you're flying this is turned to off. Here is the fuel pump. The engine has also a mechanical pump, but this is like a backup, and you can force feed fuel to the engine by this pump. Strobe, that is the strobe lights on the airplane. Vhf Radio, very easy to use. You use this when you communicate with other airplanes or air traffic control. Here we have the transponder, and what this do is to send a radar signal to the towers, so they can see your altitude, your speed, and where you're heading, so they can keep track on the airplane. This is the tachometer. So this instrument, it measures the revolutions the engine has per minute. So 10 is 1000 revolutions per minute, and etc. So usually when you're cruising with this airplane, you are about here, about 2800 revolutions per minute. Here we have the oil pressure. Here we have the oil temperature, and here you have the cylinder head temperature. So you have to check here that the engine is not overheating. Here you have the fuses for the different instruments and equipment. Here we have the instrument light switch. Here we have the radio and GPS switch. And here you have the charging light switch. This is a fuse for the instruments, and here is a voltmeter. This voltmeter is measuring the charge the airplane has when the engine is running. So it's very important that you have sufficient charge. If not, the battery will soon die, and you will experience, failures with the different instruments. So this is very important to check that everything is working. Here is the GPS, but we can take a look at that later. And here is the intercom. That means the communication between the pilot and the passenger. So when you connect your headset here, you can switch here to both channels if you only want one or two. And here you also can use the volume, adjust the volume and the squelch on the radio. Here we have an old-fashioned compass, so working like it should. And this is a quick overview over the dashboard in the Jabiru 450, and hope you find it useful. So long.